Hi, today I'm going to be talking about something that will make gamers happy and some of you guys nostalgic. The topic is video games, and yes, we are going back down that memory lane. Getting the video game console of our dreams finally after endlessly pestering our parents, turning it on for the first time, inserting the cartridge to realize that the shopkeeper and the label on the cartridge deceived you. But that would be the least of your concern. You finally want to play the video game you've been watching most of the time and only got to play once your cousin or your friend lets you play the game on their console at their home. But that's not enough. You want more. You want one of your own consoles, and now is the time. Soon after realizing that there are no 9,99,999 video games in a cartridge, which by the way is not that big of a deal because all the games you need are already in the cartridge. And now is the time you have been waiting for. Your favorite game comes to life on your TV at your home, and there is no one to stop you, right? You are forgetting something. Your parents telling you to go to sleep or telling you to study. But that's okay. Now at least you can actually play the game instead of watching it most of the time. Irrespective of knowing what graphics or gameplay or storyline meant, we just played for hours every day. All we wanted to do was play more and more, like there is no tomorrow. That was a golden period. Now let's fast forward to the early 2000s. We are teenagers now. We have access to computers more than what we used to have in the 90s. Now Windows XP is everywhere and everyone is fascinated with it. Not just for the looks and ability to customize, but Windows XP also supported applications much better than 98 and 2000. Then there were releases of some of the most memorable video games with amazing graphics, great interactive gameplay, sound design, and above all, games with storylines started coming out. Gaming on a PC was not as straightforward as it is on consoles. One should have a compatible configuration to run video games in optimum settings. Back in the day, parents were not as lenient as parents are these days. Kids had to earn whatever they want by getting good grades and by behaving good. But somehow we had to play the games we wanted. So we managed to find pirated video games in a local gaming store for a very low price. But from there, you might think it would be smooth sailing, right? No, my friend. The PCs we had was still very choppy and struggled to play the games we installed. So we had to dial down the graphics and display settings to the lowest just to play. The end result was a game that was still very laggy. Back in the day, we did not know what frame rates meant. At least I didn't know what it was. So if I had to guess, could be like 20 or 25 frame rates, with which we were still happy and played the entire day. The choppiness in the games did not matter because back in the day, there was no social media and there was no distractions. All we had to do was just complete the damn game, and we did it. I remember the load times were very, very long. I remember waiting for over 5 minutes for NFS Most Wanted to just load. After waiting that long, when the game started, the happiness we got was indescribable. We were happily engrossed in the game and just lived the best lives as the characters in the video games till the day approached, which we didn't know back in the day or remember when it was, which would be the last day some of you guys enjoyed a video game. Then you start going towards the direction life takes you to be a grown up and do things which normally you wouldn't do as a kid and thought it was boring and depressing. Now you start listening to people around you and start living a life which they think is ideal for you. You know something is not right, and yet you keep going. You pretend to be happy just because the people around you are happy, and you start thinking that you too are happy. Majority of them live a life like that their entire life, which is the norm. That is completely fine, and there is nothing wrong with it. But there are some people at some point stop, realize, rethink, and rekindle. Slowly, they start realizing that staying late at office will not get you anything. Everyone's approval around you will not get you anywhere, and the happiness you think you have is just a big stepping stone where you are comfortably standing and think that this is your home just because it is a little comfortable. The thing is, the world is wide open, and the so called happiness most of us think that we have is just within a shell. And out in the open world, there are so many undiscovered things waiting for you to experience. So, my point is, let's not stop doing things we love just because we are a grown up now. The gaping hole we feel in our heart as we are adulting could be because we have stopped living and started surviving. Most of us in our 30s, when we try to remember when were we the happiest, we tend to think of the times years ago in teenage, playing your video games, first road trip, times spent with school and college friends, the first wheelie, the simpler times, or it could be anything. But when we try to remember happier times, it is always in the past. Have you ever thought why? Why is that when we try to remember the happy times, we tend to go back to the past? Why shouldn't we be living a happy life in the present? Let's just take a moment and think what makes us happy. In my instance, one of the things that makes me happy is playing video games. After not being able to game for a long time after college, a few years ago I built myself a computer and started gaming again. Not a fancy computer, but it does the job. Again, I have to say there is nothing that can give us happiness as much as things we love to actually do. So stop, rekindle, and do the things that makes you happy once in a while. See ya.